Hi, Antonio. Thank you for being on the Dalitalks show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
We met via LinkedIn
Yep.
and I read your book and I thought it was great. Good action, good storyline, just really great work. So, for those who don't know who you are, would you please introduce yourself? Tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay. My name is Antonio Lumley. Um, I am a new author and self-publisher. We just released a book, Brook Brax, Undercover Ninjas, which came out in November of 19.
Mhm.
And we're just moving forward. That's my side job, by the way. I'm a full-time construction manager also.
Mhm.
Been doing heavy civil construction for 20, 21 years or so. So we just wanted to change things up a little bit. And so we wrote a book.
Wonderful. So, what inspired you to write this book?
The kids inspired me. I have two kids also. One just turned 10 and the other one is about to turn 13. And they were my inspiration. And my kids, they're in the martial arts. They go to the BBFC, which is in Orlando, Black Belts for Christ organization. Shout out to Sensei Joe and Sensei Martha, by the way. And they do great things with the kids. And it really reinforces like a lot of things that my wife and I, instill in our own kids, self-respect, discipline, focus, and stuff like that. And I saw the kids in dojo one day, and I just thought of the idea. I said, what if I did a little spinoff of this, and made it fiction and try to put some little life lessons in there, try to make it a little bit funny for the kids and make it entertaining. We have illustrations in there for kids that, typically don't like to read text. So we tried to make the best out of everything and try to bring all the kids together.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job. I love just the cover alone is very enticing, I think. Very bright, colorful, and a lot of kids are into that style of comic book style, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So the storyline, I really liked it because it has a lot of action, and that's how get kids to read, right?
That's
So
right.
you did a really good job with that. But I do also like that element, that teaching element of bullying. Can we
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think it's very important to emphasize the anti-bullying aspect.
Hmm.
When I was a kid, I got bullied, and one day I had to stand up for myself, and I did. And ever since then, I never turned back.
Hmm.
And I mean, I have a couple of different bullying scenarios that I was in. And my mom, she doesn't know any of this. So when she sees this interview, this is going to be new to her. So,
So wait a minute. So how come you never told your mom?
is I grew up in the inner city of Boston, Massachusetts, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan area. So those who are in that area know how it was. And back in the 80s, there were lots of gangs. I mean, you go down the block this way, there's one gang. You go 2 blocks the other way, there's another gang. And some of them used to be rival gangs. And, there were a lot of kids like me that were right in the middle, had to walk to school, play outside, do all those things. And sometimes it's just inevitable.
So when you were growing up, did you have anything to do with martial arts?
No.
Yeah. So then the way that you handled bullying back then, it was what, just fighting back, or was it different?
Well, at first I didn't, because I was, skinny, I wore glasses, and I really didn't have any male role models around me.
Hmm.
My dad and my mom weren't together at the time, so I was raised in a single parent household, and she used to work all the time. So there was often times that I had to just fend for myself and those type of things. But yeah, I never really told anybody about it.
Hmm. Do you have siblings?
Yes, I do.
So are
I
they
have two
older?
sisters and one younger brother.
Okay. So even they didn't know. They had no idea what
No,
was.
they didn't know. No,
Oh, wow.
nobody. Yeah.
Yeah, I find this very common because I remember when I got bullied too, I didn't really say anything. Um, and the reasons why I didn't say anything was because I didn't really call it bullying. And I think now kids are more apt to go and report it because we talk about bullying and what it is
Right.
than before. So one of the things that I like that in the book that you put in there is that when Brook and Brax are walking home, they're attacked, and
Mhm.
they immediately recognize, right, that those are bullies, and they
Right.
decide to do something about it. They take on the martial arts and then they master it. But one thing that I like later in the book too is that they stand up for other people. And I think it's funny that in the book they never mention that they got bullied to the sensei or the parents. It doesn't mention that. So they still keep it to themselves, but
Right.
then they actually take action, and I think in a more mature way, partly because through their martial arts training, they learn not to use it for just whatever. They have to be
Right.
responsible with it.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with my kids. I mean, my kids have been studying martial arts for 5 going on 6 years. And they got skills. They like where I come from, they got squabbles. They definitely can fight. But what the sensei teaches them and what I teach them also is that's your last resort.
Right.
You want to try to avoid that if you can, and try to diffuse the situation, I would say,
Yeah. Yeah.
before it gets physical. Because you don't want that. And I don't want my kids to do that.
Right.
But at the same time, I do tell them, hey, if you have to protect yourself, do it, and
Yeah.
let me deal with the other consequences. But
Mhm.
but I always encourage them, not to fight if they don't have to.
Yeah, and I think that it's important, not just because violence is not the answer, but it's a way to teach kids conflict resolution in a mature way. That there
Right.
are other ways aside
Yeah.
from fighting.
Yeah. You can solve it, verbally. Just hey, relax, chill, and go tell somebody. Go tell somebody. I tell them too. I said, hey, if you see a certain situation in your class, I want you to go tell your teacher first
Hmm.
before you do anything,
Hmm.
just so it's apparent to them. Because oftentimes you see two kids fighting or people fighting, you don't know who started what.
Right.
So
Yeah. And I think it's also very, I guess, very a teachable thing, because adults, you don't see adults getting into fights when they have a problem with a coworker or with somebody at church or somebody in the neighborhood. So you're teaching a very realistic way to handle a problem. And to those parents who always say, "Oh, I just tell them to go beat them," I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
that shouldn't be the solution to the problem.
Yeah, yeah. There are kids who are bullied for so long, right? That
Mhm.
they take it and don't say anything for a very, very long time until all this anger and frustration builds up, that they blow up. And sometimes they take that
Yeah.
physical, they exert it in a physical way to the bully. And the one who ends up getting punished is the person who was bullied all along, because to everybody else, it just looks like this kid suddenly just blew up and just took it out on this bully. And even if people know that that person has been a bully for a long time, all they see is, oh, he went too far, or she went too far and he, hurt this person. And the one now being punished is the one who was being victimized all along.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think with that, and that's the same thing with like workplace bullying too. And that's why it's extremely important to document. To
oh, yes.
document things, whether you can do it, physically, like through emails or something like that, or video record it, and that's why, like I said, I tell my kids, go tell your teacher first, because I want there to be some type of so-called documentation to say, hey, I didn't start this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, have you dealt with advocacy for your kids when it comes to bullying?
Um, not so much. I mean, I'm blessed. I mean, my kids are great kids, and like I said, raising them, along with my wife, that we have a family structure, and you know, not a lot of people have that, and I didn't have a full family structure growing up. So to me, it was very important for me to give that to my kids. So, but they're great kids, they're well behaved. So I never really had to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, but I asked that because even the very well-behaved kids are sometimes attacked by somebody.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 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 and that's why I say just always tell somebody, make
Mhm.
somebody aware.
Yeah.
So and like I said, and I did the exact opposite. you know, I didn't tell anybody. You're probably like one of the first people that knows about it, you know. And so I have a story for you. I'm gonna tell you one of my bully stories.
Okay.
I was probably around 11, 12 years old. And like I said, I grew up in the inner city. And I was out playing with my friend Hector, Puerto Rican kid. And we were playing basketball. You know, we had the crates that were on the telephone poles. So, you know, we didn't have the hoops around like that.
Yeah.
And we were both on our bikes, you know, after we played ball. So we were talking. Next thing I know, Hector's gone. I'm like, where did Hector go? And he lived like a block away. And I saw him riding away on his bike. Next thing you know, I turn around and there's a whole gang of kids on bikes.
Mm-hmm.
And there were probably, I'd say at least 10 of them. And probably 2 of the bikes had 2 kids on them.
Mm-hmm.
And they surrounded me and circled me like I was, you know, like a shark, you know, like a school of sharks, like just waiting to attack somebody. And out of the blue, somebody came and just bulldozed me over, knocked me off my bike. One of the other kids that was on, you know, with the 2 on the other bike, one of them jumped off, grabbed my bike, and they were gone. And so that was one, and I never told anybody that, but I was sure mad at Hector for leaving me there. He didn't say anything to me, he just left me. So
they just wanted your bike.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did this happen often, where they would appear and?
Well, like I said, it was really heavy gangs back then.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I knew they were called. I think they were like the Greenwood something gang or something like that. They're right up the street from me.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and those are kids you want to avoid.
Right.
You don't want to be around kids like that or people like that. So, but I got blindsided for sure. So,
mm-hmm.
in Brook and Brax, there's a scene where the bullies pull up to the school on dirt bikes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wrote that, because it reminded me of my situation.
Mm-hmm. So it was common. It sounds like they did this to other people. So these.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one thing that I like for people to understand, that bullying looks so different. It's not that it's somebody who's always saying mean things to you or beating you up.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking away your possessions, even if it's
absolutely,
yeah, just that one time, and they did it that one time to you, but then they're doing it to all these other people. Apparently your friend Hector, he must have known something, because he didn't even warn you, he just took off, right? So he must have known.
He just left me. Just left. I didn't play with him after that, by the way, too. I'm like, man, you just left me out there in the cold.
He showed you his true colors.
Yeah, very
yeah.
good. Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was another instance. There was a kid around the neighborhood. I think his name was Bo. He was a Haitian kid, and he used to bully the younger kids. And he was probably 6, 7 years, probably I'd say 6 years older than me at the time. And so, you know, he used to pick on me sometimes. And one day I had to physically fight back. And I don't know if I won that fight, but I definitely held my own. And ever since then, he never picked on me again.
Yeah.
And ever since that day that I stuck up for myself, I said, you know, I'm not gonna allow this ever again. Yeah. And so I haven't.
And I think that's where that idea of fight back comes from, because sadly it is true. Sometimes you do engage in a physical altercation with somebody for them to realize, hey, I'm gonna stand up for myself. Right. You know, and then they stop. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they continue because they just can't deal with the fact that you fought back. Right. But again, that's not the first way to solve a problem.
Exactly.
But yeah, I do understand that. So when people tell me, oh, well, I just told my kid to fight back, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be judgmental about it. It's just that I know that for my kids, you know, I tell them, don't go to that as a first resort. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, if you have to defend yourself, then defend yourself. That I'm not going to just tell you to just take it, because I wouldn't do that, you know, for myself. So,
but there's different ways of defending yourself too.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, documentation is another way. You know, keep things documented. You know, if you can show a pattern in it, then you have a case. So.
Yeah, I'm so glad you just said that, because that's true. People don't usually see reporting as a way to defend yourself, and it really is. And sometimes that's the most powerful way that you can do it. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I learned, because I had to advocate for my baby when she was 5. She was being bullied by another 5-year-old. And I felt, you know, when you're a parent, you feel like you've got it. You know this, because you were a kid, you got bullied, and you've got this. In my situation, it was a little different because of how it happened, where it happened, who it was by. And when I went to report it, I found out that there were all these policies that actually prevented the principal to create a solution. and the school bus driver, because the first incident happened on the bus. So it's really important for people to educate themselves and for the parents to pass on that knowledge to the children. So your book is really helpful because I like the story of, the standing up for others, because you don't necessarily have to go to an adult. Sometimes it takes another person, another peer,
Right.
to do something as simple as tell the bully to stop it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
what I also love about your book is that you include people with a disability, and that's rare to see in books, because the population of people who are mostly bullied are usually people with disabilities.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that, because they're also the most ignored population. People
Right.
kind of like forget about them, don't really
Yeah.
include them in anything. And they're just human beings just like you and I. So
Yeah.
I appreciate.
That really, I have a soft spot for that, because I had a cousin, his name was Stanley, and he was in a wheelchair. He was a paraplegic.
Mhm.
And the only thing that he could move was his fingers. And, so he had, his mom, which is my aunt had to, help him go to the bathroom, help him get in bed, go to sleep, that kind of thing. And and we were best friends, and he passed away at the age of 19. So
Wow.
that really, really hits home for me.
Yeah.
I don't
Sorry about that.
I don't play any games when it comes to defending people like that. So
Yeah. So what about your upcoming book?
mhm. All right. So my upcoming book is going to be Brook Brax. That's the title. The subtitle I don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of playing around with the idea, but I'm still writing the chapters, and we're working on the illustrations with my illustrator Mark Renee. Shout out to Mark, and it'll be ready first quarter of 2021. I'm going to make it longer this time. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, more flamboyant. I'm going to really, really use my imagination and go outside the box on this one. So the first one was just the first step.
I really liked it, and I like that you mentioned that you're going to have more female characters in it, right?
Yes, Dolly, because you know why? Because you told me, you said, you know what, Antonio, I like your book, but where are the female characters?
Where are the women?
Yeah. And like I told you, my intent was just to get Brook and Brax, get them established first before I start introducing other characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus, I didn't really want them fighting any girls in the book also.
Yeah, I
But
get that. Yeah. But
yeah,
the reality is that, unfortunately, with bullying, that happens. Some
oh yeah,
people don't have any boundaries, and they'll
yeah,
a girl, or a girl will bully a boy, which is a whole nother topic, because
a
I've
whole
seen
nother
this,
topic.
yeah, I've seen this in the playground when I volunteer at kids' schools, and I see that a boy will report a girl who's bullying him, and it's completely dismissed. It's such a double standard, and it bothers me so much, because it is not fair for that boy to do the right thing, report it, and nothing happened just because it was a girl who was bullying him.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that got attacked by a girl in school. We were in high school,
mm-hmm.
and I mean, she jacked him up. I mean, she scratched his face, was punching him, and all he did was grab her.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are you gonna do? You're not supposed to hit girls. So,
right. Yeah.
That's the way I was taught.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the next book. I'm looking forward to seeing how the females are going to handle each situation. I hope that you have a villain and a good a female part.
Darling, I got you covered.
Okay.
That. All right. So the female character in the book is actually the daughter of the sensei who teaches Brook and Brax, and she's a little bit older, and she's actually way more skilled than them because she's been studying longer. Mm-hmm. But they don't know that yet. So she's going to be a very, very big character, fierce character. I'm going to have a villain for each person also, and they're going to be stronger than the bullies that were in book one. So it's going to be bigger and better.
Okay, awesome. That's great. So right now, if somebody wants to buy Brook and Brax, where can they go and find it?
You can go to my website, ecstaticbooks.com. There's a link there. We also have a free comic, which is Brook and Brax versus Pandemic, which is kind of a little spin-off of the COVID-19. So we made a villain kind of representing that, and kind of showing the kids in quarantine and social distancing and how bad it is, and how cool they thought it was for them to be out of school until they realized, hey, I can't see my friends after like 4 or 5 months. And then they're like, oh, I can't wait to go back to school.
Yeah.
So definitely go check that out. And you can also get it at Amazon.com and Barnes & Nobles.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Do you have any last tips or any last comments for our viewers before we go?
I would just say, we're living in a crazy time right now. I mean, you've got social unrest, you got racial injustice, you got all these different things surrounding us. COVID-19. So my suggestion for everybody is, let's just help each other. Let's love on each other. Be sympathetic, empathetic to others, and then we're going to get through it.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dolly. Appreciate it. I love what you're doing, by the way.
Thank you. Well, there you have it, folks. Antonio Lumley, author of Brook Brax, Undercover Ninjas, has shared with us a little bit about his own bullying experiences, how he dealt with it, and why he wrote the book. You can get a copy of his book at ecstaticbooks.com, and don't forget to check him out on Instagram. If you like this video, please subscribe to this channel and click that little bell so you can get notified every time a new episode is posted. I also invite you to come on over to Dalitalks.com and check out our newsletter. Subscribe to it so that you can get updates on upcoming guests, events, and other goodies. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.